So we're going to talk about the PMR of injuries. So what I mean by PMR, we've got prevention, we've got management, and we've got recovery or repair. So injuries, this issue has come up because I got injured yesterday. I went out for a run and twisted my ankle. It's always been the left ankle, which has been a little bit dodgy, but it was through me doing social distancing during a run that meant that I fell and twisted my ankle. I rolled my ankle, which was not very nice. Halfway through running fairly hard to come back home. So yeah, we've got prevention. Always the best bet, if at all possible. In the case of my accident, it was purely an accident, so something that you couldn't prevent. However, you can do a lot in terms of doing the things to help you minimize the risk of injury. So when it comes to rolling your ankle, potentially not too much you can do about it apart from like keeping an eye on the ground in terms of how your feet are striking or what your feet are striking on. But in terms of injuries as a whole, it's about strengthening and having the body prepared and in the best condition to react and respond quickly and with confidence. So what I mean by that is when we are doing all this stuff that ultimately, if you're a runner, it's the stuff that most people don't do or don't like doing. It's the stuff that may seem mundane at the time. However, it's the stuff that is really important to shore up the body, to give you strength, to give you confidence, so that when you're out there running, there's less chance of injury. So, as I've said previously, most running injuries, if we're talking about, well, not just running, but movement injuries, most injuries in our human kinetic chain generally stem from somewhere around the hips in terms of hip function and health. So if you can do the things that help your hip health to improve, i.e., all the single-legged stuff that is going to improve your overall balance, so that when your feet move and hit the ground, your balance is such that you're very confident that when you land on the floor with one foot, you are going to be stable. You're going to distribute the forces correctly up the body. So yeah, there's the balance stuff. Then there's the strengthening of the muscles around the hip. So we're talking, the glutes, and main driver is the glutes, of which there are a few muscles on both sides. You've got the main running muscle or movement muscle being the glute max, the bum muscle that you sit on, and then you've got others like say glute med and everything that kind of support those muscles as well, and they're often the ones that are either neglected when it comes to strengthening the body and the hips, and potentially the ones that go to sleep because we spend so much time sat on our asses. So there's balance, there's strength, and then thirdly there is flexibility and alignment. So flexibility is about improving your flexibility. We don't want to be in a state where we're hyperextending everything in terms of joints, but we want a good range of movement so that you're flexible, so that you maximize your range of movement by having good flexibility. And then in terms of core strength as well, we want really good core strength when it comes to hip health. So core strength isn't just about the abs, it's about all the muscles that kind of wrap around the torso and the spine, because we want those to be strong so that we can be held in the right position, in an optimal position, so that the hips sit under a strong base or form a strong base for your spine to sit on and attach to, so that then your legs hang better, so that then we're landing better, right? So as a whole kinetic chain, we want the whole body. Kinetic chain just means how all the muscles and joints in the body work together to move you, all right? So we've got a few things there in terms of how to prevent injuries, and overall, or in summary, it's to strengthen, to look at strength, to look at flexibility, and to look at alignment of the body as a whole. So then if we move to the M, so we're talking about the PMR of injuries. So the P is the prevention and doing all the strength work when you can, before you go out running or as a complement to your running training and movement training. Second is the management. So when you are injured, the general rule of thumb is to RICE it if at all possible. So, and as quickly as possible. So RICE as in we rest it, ICE or I as in ice it, C as in compress it, E as in elevate. So as soon as you say roll an ankle, if you can't walk it off, then it's going to need rest. So generally you're potentially limping or hobbling home, and then you want to get your weight off it as quickly as possible, and then you want to ice it, because there's going to be inflammation, there's going to be swelling, so you want to ice it, or in my case, take a long cold shower on the ankle, and then you want to compress it, so get the ice compressed up against the joint to help reduce the swelling, and as long as it's just a twisted ankle or a rolled ankle, then it's going to heal with time. However, if it's more serious, then obviously you need to get it checked out. But yeah, then you're compressing it with the cold pressing up against the joint, and then you want to elevate it to help with the blood flow. So in terms of literally putting your feet up, and ideally your foot is up higher than your heart, so the blood flow helps to repair quicker. All right, so that's the RICE, that's the management. And in time, depending on how quick your recovery is, depending on how quickly you can RICE your swollen injury, you can start to move into the next phase, which is the recovery or repair phase, and that comes from getting movement back in the joints, which is going to be uncomfortable to start with, but you want to build that confidence up again by going into the balance stuff, the same kind of stuff that you're using when you're doing prevention stuff. So you want the balance, you want the strength, you want the flexibility, and you want the confidence as well. So they're the three stages. One, prevention is definitely better than cure, and it's about making sure that you're doing enough of the preventative stuff as a complement to just moving. Then you want to manage the injury as best as you can, and then when it comes to repair, then it's about taking it steady, easing yourself back in, keeping movement in the joints that are injured, as long as you don't need to get it checked out further by a specialist, and then easing yourself back into movement again, and taking the weight back on, say, a twisted ankle or something like that. So it's probably going to be a few days until I'm back running again with confidence. However, straight away I was icing it yesterday with cold showers, and I'll probably be doing it again today. All right, so that's the PMR of injuries: prevention, management, and recovery or repair.